Holy shift. We've got 2 eclipses coming up this September. And if you think that sounds dramatic, well, just wait until you see what is getting triggered in the United States natal chart. One of these eclipses is hitting the nation's soul, the other one is hitting the system, and together, these eclipses are probably going to shift our direction in ways we don't fully understand or comprehend until maybe next spring. If you followed me for a while, you know that I call eclipse season Holy Shift season. And it's for a reason. They mark portals of massive, often irreversible transformation. And they work in pairs, with one chapter opening a door, the other one closing it. Now on September 7th, we have a total lunar eclipse in Pisces, and this is a sign that can signify spiritual things, illusions, and even transcendence. Then on September 21st, we have a partial solar eclipse in Virgo. Virgo is a sign that can signify things having to do with order, having systems of organization and discernment. Both of these are going to be hitting America's chart like a lightning bolt. Let's start with this lunar eclipse in Pisces. These, like I said, have to do with culminations, especially in a water sign. We're talking about maybe emotional closures or endings or karmic completions. And this one is landing in the US's natal 3rd house, having to do with our messaging, our media, even our mental conditioning. And it is conjunct the transiting North Node in Pisces, which is opposing a lot of energies here in Virgo in the 9th house, which has to do with our belief systems, the law, even foreign influence. Translation? Well, it's very possible that the story we've been told about our healthcare, our legal system, warfare, even really the truth itself, well, that may start to unravel. And if you're going to say, but Stephanie, it already is, I have to agree with you. It's just more. It's more. And it won't be gentle, unfortunately, because this is a soul level reckoning that we have to sort out within ourselves as Americans about what we have allowed ourselves to believe that just flat ain't true. Now, meanwhile, bear in mind that Mars and Lilith are stirring the United States natal 10th house, having to do with power dynamics, leadership, authority, and it is conjunct the United States natal Juno and Saturn, which is opposing our wound that we have with our Chiron in Aries in the 4th house, and as we're in a Chiron return. So conjunct Hades there. I mean, we're talking to hella feeling the pain right now as a nation. So think about power struggles with this energy and betrayals and karmic contracts, especially when we bring Lilith into this. This could be dark, shadowy, feminine figures that I've talked about before in previous videos, such as Pam Bondi, Susie Wiles. So, keep an eye on these women and others in leadership, because they could be possibly activating some elite agendas behind the scenes around this time. I mean, as if they're not already, right? It's just more. And I gotta just insert very quickly, if it sounds like, well, that's already going on, that's nothing new. Well, it's because we're in about a 1.5 year time cycle of these nodes in Pisces and Virgo, which, by the way, started in January of this year. So we're in the thick of it, and these energies are going to be sifting these dynamics out until we shift nodes out of Virgo and Pisces. Basically another year. But on the topic of this lunar eclipse in Pisces, it's not just closing a chapter, it's really bringing a trigger point for just forcing a spiritual detox of national delusion. Then comes the solar eclipse in Virgo on September 21st, and this is a new beginning being marked here, an opening chapter, an opening door, but it might not feel like the squeaky clean slate that Virgo would really like to have, because this is activating some things going on in the background with the 8th house, having to do with death, debt, and power, and secrets. Even though, yes, it is landing in America's 9th house, conjunct our natal Neptune, where dreams and lies blur together, this is what's rising in the background. We've got Jupiter conjunct the natal Mercury, Jupiter in Cancer, and natal Mercury. And we do have Venus, Vertex, and Lilith kind of dancing in the shadows here in that 9th house. And then don't forget, we are still in this Pluto return with part of fortune right on it in the 2nd house. So we are having a reckoning with death-based economics. And yes, I'm speaking in code, so connect the dots, people. Basically, this is where exploitation gets dressed up as for your protection. This is where war becomes policy, and it is where sacrifice gets marked as freedom. So this eclipse is asking us, do we double down on control, illusion, and false purification rituals? Or do we finally confront the systems we have been too afraid to question? These eclipses are opening up a 6-month karmic tunnel or portal that will culminate with the lunar eclipse in Virgo next March 2026, and it's directly tied to what gets seeded right now. And that Virgo new moon that we had on August 23rd prior to these eclipses, well, that was the spark. These eclipses are the fire. And they're activating more than just America's soul wound and its foundational identity, but also its economic model and the stories that we tell ourselves to stay asleep. So yeah, Holy Shift is about right. Follow me for more breakdowns of these eclipses if you're interested, because this is not just astrological, it's historical. And if you're awake and aware like I am and you want to exit this illusion, well, you're not going to want to miss out on what's coming next.